What made you decide to go into film?
Well, one day I met a friend, and it was a girl actually, and her uncle was the chief engineer at BIP Studios in Elstree. He said, "Why don't you come and join us in the film business?" And quite honestly, I never even thought about it, because it was one of those vague things, you know, that you hear about. But I was interested to a certain extent in photography, purely in a box brownie area, nothing greater than that, and purely from amateur work, you know. The uncle of the girl introduced me to the chief of the camera department there, and he had a chat with her one day, and he said, "Well, come along on whatever it was, on Monday or whatever, and we'll start doing the camera department." You see. So in due course I went along and met him, and he said, "Terribly sorry, things have gone a bit the wrong way." He said, "We haven't got any vacancy at all in the camera department today." He said, "I know you've come a long way from Richmond, and I don't want you to come here for nothing." He said, "But I can give you got a suggestion, rather than you go home empty-handed, as it were. If you go and see the casting department, I think they might find you something." So I really didn't know what was going on, you know. So I went and saw the casting department. He, in the meantime, phoned through to them. And before very long, I was dressed in a black jacket and striped trousers, a bowler hat and a rolled umbrella, and I was on some set, walking around with a girl on my arm, you know, as an extra. So really, my first introduction to the industry was as an actor, I'll call it. So that's what I was doing. And that only was for one day, and the next day I started in the camera department.
But give us a rundown of your career, you know, and the progress of, you know, from BIP.
Well, from BIP, I went to B&D, which was the studio next door.
Yeah.
And we were in the middle of a film there, and I was staying the weekend with some friends in Elstree, Bourne Wood. During the night, we heard fire engines going, tearing around all night. The next morning in the Sunday newspaper, it said, "Elstree Studios razed to the ground," you see. So I thought, oh, that must be mine. It always is, isn't it?
Yes.
Sure enough, it was. So, well, it did me a good turn in a strange way, because the film that we were on was only about halfway through, and they wanted to complete it, and Calder offered them facilities at Isleworth to finish the film.
Yes.
So we went as a unit, we moved down to Isleworth. And that didn't do me any harm, because I lived in Richmond, and that wasn't too far away, you see. And I met a whole new lot of people,
Yes.
including Bert Easy. So,
Yes.
Who was the chief for the camera department at Isleworth. And it was just before Denham was completed. And the whole shebang was going to move over to Denham Studios. And I went as one of the camera department with them, you see.
What were you doing then in the camera
I was
department?
doing focus.
You were on focus.
Because I'd moved up from the clapper stage just before that fire at B&D.
Yeah.
So I got to meet Bert Easy, and we became great friends. And not only he and I, but the two wives got very friendly, which was very pleasant. Well, then eventually we all moved over to Denham, which was now completed. The only slight problem was that the day before we were going to move, the stage that we were allotted, that caught fire. So nothing too serious. But from there on, of course, I stayed at Denham and moved up in the normal way, you know, with the camera department at Denham. I became an operator.
Can you describe the technique of shooting when you first started, you know, and how it's changed?
Well, it's changed a lot for me, because the first camera I ever worked on when I became a cinematographer was Technicolor camera.
Yeah. 3-strip.
3-strip,
Yes.
which was about as big as that fireplace.
Yes.
And of course the amount of light required on the set was 4 times what we would use today.
Yes, yes.
For those technical people who might read this, the minimum amount of light you could use for Technicolor for a daylit shot, as opposed to a night shot, in the studio was 800-foot candles.
Yeah. Mm.
Now that actually is compared with approximately 200-foot candles today for colour film. But it didn't present any particular problem because we had the correct rigging for it, light lamp-wise, you know.
But what about before colour, the difference, the progress, if you like, in techniques, up to what was the first one? What Wings in the Morning was the first.
That was the first Technicolor picture made.
Up to that period.
Well, it was black and white before then, of course.
What about lighting and things like that?
Well, I always used to say that one photographed in black and white, but lit in colour.
Yes, yes. Explain that, because some people wonder what your meaning.
It's all a question of separation, really, because if you're photographing a coloured scene with a film which is adaptable to colour, the various objects in that scene will stand out against the background because of their colour. Mm-hmm. Whereas in black and white, they're all the same shade, whether it's a wall behind or something, or a chair, as opposed to an actor in a suit. They're all black or white.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they could all blend as one black and white nothing.
Yes.
So you have to light accordingly to pick out each object, whether it's a moving one or a static one, and light either the background or it itself in such a way that it will stand out. Now I think that is more my version of photography than with colour, because with colour, at first, and especially with the early Technicolor, you could put an overall light on the set, and it would look quite nice, but you couldn't do that with black and white.
Yeah, yeah.
The result would be just a grey nothing.
And when you first started, did you do much location work, or was it done in the studios?
It was much more studio. Very seldom did we ever go, like today, to a natural location or to some stately home, for instance. Yeah. They would be built as sets. You might photograph an exterior, but all the interior would be sets. So,
but exteriors used to be done in the studios too, didn't they?
Oh yes, quite a lot.
Yes.
Probably they weren't too big.
Yes.
See, I was at Denham Studios from the first day
it
opened until the last day when it shut.
Yes. Yes. During the war years, you were at Denham right the way through, weren't you?
I was Denham all the way through the war years, and then when war started, I was placed in that
reserved occupation
thing, and ostensibly to do films for
the MOI.
What was it called? Not the MOI.
COI. I think it was the MOI. They were boosting films.
They may have ended up with them. But
yeah. So you were at Denham right the way through the war.
So I was based at Denham, and then a certain time during the war, there were some American pictures being made, like one particular I remember was A Yank in the RAF.
Yes.
Well, as an operator, I was assigned with Ronnie Neame to do the English locations for that picture, which meant working with the American Air Force in England.
Your first break, lighting break, was on Caesar and Cleopatra. Now, tell us the circumstances of that, how that came about. Because Bob Krasker started that, didn't he?
Bob Krasker started it, and I was the operator.
Yeah.
And it's a whole story of disaster in a way, because Bob Kresker started it. Now, Bob was a sick man, you know.
Yes.
He got diabetes in those days, and it proved too much for him on Caesar and Cleopatra, and he had to leave. And Freddie Young came to take over. So I operated for Freddie, and then the picture reached a stage where they had to go to Egypt for exteriors.
Yes.
And for some reason I didn't want to go to Egypt. I'd already been, and it didn't impress me too much. They went to Egypt. There were all sorts of stuff left behind on the lot at Denham. The burning down of Alexandria was one of it. And these are all done with foreground miniature models, you know, stuck up on towers in the distance. And so I did all that with Pascal. He didn't go to Egypt, he stayed at home. And that's what makes me think that I think Freddie did sort of organise the direction out in Egypt. I think that started his bug for directing, because he did try a couple of times to direct picture, but they didn't work out somehow.
So after Caesar and Cleopatra, did you go back to operating, or had you broken out, as it were?
I think I broke out.
Uh-huh. Then you met up and kind of worked with David Lean, didn't you, on Sound Barrier?
Sound Barrier, yes.
Now that was your first. Was that the first time you'd ever worked with David, or had you worked with him as an operator?
Well, I worked with him quite often
as an operator.
Operator.
Yeah.
Things like Chiltern Hundreds and two or three, and Big Maiden, of
Yes,
course.
yes. Uh-huh.
In fact, when he was, all the time he was an editor,
Yeah.
I was an operator, and when he took on directing, I became a cinematographer, roughly about the same time.
Yeah.
Well, he and I used to get on very well together because we were contemporaries, we were the same age. And,
Now, how tell us about working with David.
well, David's got absolutely no time for anybody who doesn't know what they're doing, you know. And he makes no bones about letting them know it either. So he keeps people on their toes, you know. But my real favourite, I think, was Summertime in Venice, you know, with Catherine Hepburn.
Yes. Well, when they get, yes, with David, yes, again.